so sick of Hollywood casting actors that don't look anything like the characters they're supposed to be playing. Just hire people that look like the characters. Quit changing their races, quit changing their appearance, hold on, this one doesn't count. It's so insane how people will complain about Hollywood changing the appearance of adapted characters until you hit them with the fucking Uno reverse.
The amount of gaslighting in this short video is astounding. Starting off by hinting at the controversy around the Last of Us live-action actor playing Ellie and the new Little Mermaid not looking like their in-game or animated counterparts. Though I have not watched the Last of Us show, I have played through the first game 8 times or maybe even more. Several times within 2 or 3 months of first getting the game back in 2012, and several times since. I still feel inclined to revisit this game because to me, it is that good. Yet, I refuse to watch the show due to not wanting to enrich Cuckman and his self-indulging ego. And I'm sure Bella has potential to be a fantastic actor, but she is no Ellie. And The Little Mermaid, honestly, no matter how you feel about it, Disney made their money even if it did not sell as well at the box office as they had hoped. However, they sold both white and black Ariel at the same time, and people bought the one they most agreed with and got played. As for hunterschafer, we'll get more into the photo, but come on, there was no Uno reverse here. Zelda is a female character. Hunter is a male transition to female, a trans woman if you will, not even the same thing. Let's even go by the new definition that was not totally changed to fit some narrative. Sex is identified by biology. I know it says this isn't always true due to intersex people, but we are looking at the majority and not the exception here. Gender is a social construct, or whatever that means, as if we haven't used these terms interchangeably for many years. Some of us may have heard someone say something along the lines of sex and gender are not the same, gender is just a social construct. Okay, cool. Doctors do not assign gender, they identify sex. This is apparent by the fact that before all this gender stuff, medical documents like birth certificates had boxes for sex, not gender. Gender and sex being different make the removal of these identifiers completely unnecessary and prove they can't even define what gender actually means to them. That's just a quick jab at the fact that I hate the saying, assigned gender. No. They do not assign shit. They identify sex, and in their own admission is not the same. So with that, we can form a baseline that Hunter is not a female, but a male by sex whose gender is female, as they decided suited themselves best. And that is perfectly fine. By all means, live your life the way you feel most like yourself. Everyone deserves to be happy within their life and with themselves. But an orange is an orange, not an apple at the end of the day. Nor am I sorry if that hurts your feelings.
And then they're like, well, no, it was never about the appearance. A new batch of idiots saying that hunterschafer shouldn't be cast as Princess Zelda strictly because she's a trans woman, and going through absolute fucking circus tiger level hoops to convince people that that somehow matters.
Does this really matter? Maybe not. And probably the only point that comes close to a reasonable point, but let's consider some things. Does it really matter if Hunter got the role or not? Not in the slightest. Could this have been big for Hunter's career? Sure. Could it have been a detriment? Of course. Could the movie have done good or bad with Hunter? Absolutely. Let's try that again. Could the movie have done good or bad with Hunter? Absolutely, either are as likely. Could it do well or flop with the actress that did get casted? Also just as likely. Now, you might think this just supports the it doesn't matter if the actor doesn't look like the character point, but it's really not. I'm just flipping the argument on the basis of hunterschafer, and that even though Hunter might somewhat resemble an iteration of Zelda, people should not care that Hunter was not casted. He says this next, quote unquote, it should not matter if the actor looks like the character, yet why are the same people so upset that Hunter isn't playing Zelda? I would say it's just a taste of their own medicine. Also, this argument doesn't work in the opposite over the simple fact that the same people complaining about Ellie and Ariel, as you have shown, weren't asking for a lookalike, but a biological woman, which Hunter is not. Again, by their own definition of sex. Nice try on twisting the narrative. It was a good attempt, and I get it, but different things were complained about between these two scenarios.
Who should be cast as Princess Zelda? Sydney Sweeney, or a woman who looks like an actual fucking elf?
Sydney Sweeney. I mean, it just seems so obvious.
And look, I'd be fine if she didn't look like Zelda. I don't need the actor to look identical to the video game character.
Why are you complaining?
Pedro Pascal looks nothing like Joel, but he still crushed it. It's just crazy that these are the people who demand that actors look like the characters they're portraying until you give them exactly what they want.
But you clearly do care by the "a person who actually looks like an elf" comment. Also based on the fact you felt the need to make this video and misrepresent what people were complaining about so you can be irate and trigger others. Let's not pretend that just because people complained about Ellie and Ariel for not looking like their characters is somehow the same as the same people saying, "I want a woman to play Zelda, not a trans woman." Which I think is just as valid as not caring who is playing the character. As a gamer myself, I care more about how the character is represented, and I think it is better Hunter does not play Zelda. He says Pedro doesn't look like Joel, but in my opinion, he actually looks more like Joel than Hunter looks like Zelda, hurting his argument. Not to mention, this photo is most definitely cherry-picked and does not support the idea that Hunter should play Zelda. Let's take a look at the aforementioned photo of Hunter. Alright. Yeah, Hunter has some resemblance to Twilight Princess Zelda. Now, let's see a non-cherry-picked photo of Hunter without this very specific look that others can pull off in cosplay. Okay, not looking anything like an elf or Zelda here. Maybe it's a fluke. Let's look at another one. Not quite an elf here. Maybe braided hair could be like a Celt or something. Not quite elf again. Just looks like an average androgynous person here. Okay, maybe a little bit of elf here, but not in the same way as the first photo. I don't know, more like a Mist of Avalon. I wouldn't say elf.
Androgyny, androgyny, androgyny. Not elf. Maybe starter hormones. Androgyny, 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 and not elf.
Yeah, I personally don't see it. I think it's clear this photo is cherry-picked just to fit this narrative. Now, let's take a look at every iteration of Zelda.
So we have Zelda 1 and 2, then A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Wind Waker, Minish Cap, and Phantom Hourglass, Four Swords, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, A Link Between Worlds, Hyrule Warriors, and Breath of the Wild.
At most, maybe 2 or 3 I would say are close, but I would also say only Twilight Princess has a much closer resemblance to Hunter, and I wouldn't say it's spot on, but closer than the rest. We also notice here that Zelda doesn't quite look like Zelda herself. She mainly has some key repeating features that give us a semblance that it's the same character. Except you, first Zelda. Again, this really doesn't add to the argument of lookalike versus whoever, but rather that Hunter does not really look like Zelda, rather similar to just one iteration. You see, every Zelda, except Zelda 1, there is purposely designed information that tells you it's Zelda even when they don different looks and or art styles, some more drastic than others. Hunter does not look like Zelda in and out of this specific look. I know, I said Zelda doesn't look like Zelda, but she also does from iteration to iteration, and that is the difference. So this idea that Hunter was born to play Zelda is just a cry wolf situation. I personally think there was an opportunity at one point to play Link, though. Now, we get to the part I really wanted to add that ends this whole argument. As we have seen, Zelda changes pretty much every game, and those of us that have played the games know this well. So, In-universe lore, unless they were telling a story based on the Twilight Princess Zelda, the one Hunter is being compared to in many photos, Hunter couldn't play Zelda. You just can't have Twilight Princess Zelda just popping up in a non-Twilight Princess story. And I would imagine they would explore a story we haven't seen before with a new Link and Zelda, just like most of the games. So even when Hunter does look somewhat like an iteration of Zelda in a cherry-picked photo, Hunter also can't look like another Zelda from a different timeline at the same time. And to the shills, yes, you can add makeup and material to help give the actor a certain look to lessen the resemblance to one Zelda to create another. Okay, then it defeats the whole purpose of many wanting Hunter to play Zelda for looking like an iteration of Zelda and nullifies everyone's cries for Hunter not getting casted. Good job. You played yourself. Outside of lore aspects, I personally don't think anyone who wants Hunter to play Zelda wants her to play Zelda specifically because they think Hunter looks like Twilight Zelda. My view is actually quite similar to Bella Ramsey getting casted for Ellie. Whether you think Bella is a good Ellie or not, to me it just looks like she was picked due to being non-binary and not based on her capabilities of being an actor. And I think it's the same with Hunter. Some people on the left wanted to stir the pot, create some controversy to call others bigots, and not because Hunter could pull off as Zelda, but rather use her transgenderism as a weapon against others. Clearly it worked to some extent because it became somewhat of a controversy, and it has people like this guy upset making videos without seeing his own hypocrisy in his statements. It's so insane how people will complain about Hollywood changing the appearance of adapted characters until you hit them with a fucking Uno reverse. You mean the ones who are saying it doesn't matter all of a sudden want it to matter? Get the fuck out of here. I swear, man, non-fans piss me off. Like, at least play the damn games. There is no iteration of Zelda with a dude.